Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank Florin and the Share Architecture team to invite me here to Romania, to Bucharest. It's my first time here, and it's an amazing city. I was so impressed about this Paris from the east. I think it's sometimes beautiful as Paris. So I will show you how we work, and the topics, of course, it's facades. And first of all, this is the place, this is our office in Luxembourg, and I was born there. It's a very small commune. It's a commune from Schengen. You know this treaty from Schengen, so we are located on the borders to Germany and France, and never I could leave this small town, also village. Only 600 people live there, and as a ping pong ball, I move between Schengen and Vienna. So since 40 years, and since 40 years we try to satisfy our clients, of course, and also we are happy that the users are happy. Yeah. So you introduced me so very nice. Thank you very much. This is a place in Shanghai. So until this crazy time, I went there every 4 or 5 weeks, and I teach there because we constructed the Luxembourgish pavilion in Shanghai for the World Expo 2010. And since this time, I moved there and I work there. So it's an amazing culture. And when you come from a very small country as Luxembourg, when I was young, we were 350,000 citizens, and now we are the double. But it's a very small environment. And so my activities over this last 40 years were, of course, the activity as an architect, so projecting a building, and the second, sometimes teaching, the last 10 years, of course, more as before. And the third part is conserving because I have a lot of drawings, a lot of maquettes or sculptures, because architecture is so long. Sometimes it takes so long time to realize a project, and so it's very boring to wait. And so I should do something different. And drawing and painting and sculpturing, it's very fast. So you can do something very fast, and sometimes some project, some of other project took 24 years. And so I made this foundation. I created this foundation in my village. I have no plans, but it's a shape which is constructed around our old school. So let's start with how we work, and how I make the conception and the images of facades. When you have an approach to a building, of course, you cannot understand directly the functionality or the internal life of a building, but what you can see, it's a shape and it is skin. And the skin is very important because, for me, it is very personally, it's very important because I like to realize construction, and the day when they are finished, I like to see the trace of the time. So I like not really the clean facades. So personally, because, why? Because I was born in the middle of the vineyards in Luxembourg, and I like to touch the material. I like to see the material when it becomes old, you see the trace of the rains, of the winds, of the sun, and so. So this is a building for KPMG in Luxembourg, and we made it in rustic steel. And in this construction, it is the main structure. It's also the facade. So step by step, we build this steel elements, and these steel elements support the floor slabs. So it has the advantage, first of all, that the facade is down, because I'm also a very lazy guy, so I don't like to reflect too much about and to work too much about details, and so, and to search to. So when I have an idea, I like to realize it in a very straight way. So, and the second layer, of course, it's a facade, a normal facade, and it is a game between raw material and a noble material, that's in this case brass. So the advantage for the plan is you have no pillar inside. So you have, of course, in the middle you have something to support the slabs, but outside you are more flexible to work on it. So, and I like this contrast. I like the contrast between noble and raw, and this is what gives you a good feeling. Because what is the idea behind? The name is practical, and it is also poetical. And poetical means for me something in a balance. And balance means even today, the world, it's not in a balance. So it's contrary, it's opposite. It's not in a balance. But so I'm not happy, and I feel bad when my interior balance is destroyed. And balance means also, for me, harmony. So what is harmony? Harmony is defined for different parametrics. For example, of course, the scale. In architecture, scale is very important. The scale, the light, the material, the color, and so on. And for me, the material and the color or the natural materials are much more important than the shape. And imagine the Greek islands, for example, Ios or Syros, they are very white, and you can, from the sea, you see these pyramids, these constructions, these villages, these small towns, and you cannot really see the individual houses, but you can see the whole urban houses. So this is what I mean. The detail in the end is not so important, but more the whole. And so this is maybe the basics of our philosophy. So here it's a similar project as the first one. It's also administration building, but here it's only decorated shape. So here the elements are not, don't support the slabs, but the request from the client was because he was also the client for the other buildings. He said, you should do something which is different as the other construction. So for me, I like this kind of projects because I can imagine something different, and so this is what we have done. And a structure with leaves, and they were produced in Spain. Next Barcelona, a very, very professional company. And so this is the result of these reflections. The next project is on the banks of the Danube, 80 kilometers far from Vienna. And we saved this project after an opera in Salzburg. And it's in the middle of the vineyards and the walls, because it's very inclined geography. So you have the walls, we are in stone. And so the idea was to do the facades and also the whole building in stone. It's a dental university, a private university, the Danube Private University in Krems, next Vienna. So, and this, it's a game between the nature and the functionality inside this building. So, and this is the view from the Danube. The other one, it's a conversation of a steel mill in Luxembourg, and we made it. We started the project 15 years ago, and it's finished now for 4 years. And because Luxembourg had a big steel infrastructure, and so we conserved the old construction. And you see here the dust and the dirt from yesterday, from the old part. We made photos from this, and we printed the dust on the glass of this facade. The facade here, it's in composite and in glass, and the elements which come out are rooms, are spaces where it's very silent, and inside it's open space. So there's the entrance element with a small amphitheater, and so the dust you have, or the prints you have outside, you have inside. You see, you have a light between, because the dust filters the lights, and so it's very open, and it gives you a feeling, a good feeling during your journey inside this space. The last project, it's a really crazy one. I cannot tell you the story, but because it's too long and too crazy, but I can do it very shortly. After we constructed the Opera House in Salzburg for the Salzburg Festival, I was invited in Brazil, and in Brazil we had a nice evening with a lot of red wine, and with people from France and from Brazil, of course. And the lady which invited me created, it's a founder of the Mozarteum in Brasileiro in São Paulo. So she is very, she organized great concerts and over the world. And so in the end of this evening, we created the music festival, so Musica em Trancoso. And the goal the next day was to find a place to play, to sing. So we found this small canyon in front of the sea, and I made some drawings in the evening. I sent it to my office in Luxembourg, and they made me as a Greek theater, amphitheater, and everybody was impressed. And so we started to produce sketches, and we went to the environment, and they gave us the authorization. But one moment they said, which time you will do the festival? So we said after Carnival. This means in the end of February and March, so they said, so it's not possible, because if you bring all the material, all the crowd over the beach, it's a time when the turtles go out of the eggs. So it was not possible to do it at this place. So I went back to Luxembourg, and one day I made this, I had the idea to do something with steel and maybe with concrete, and to create the artificial canyon, so artificial reflection area, because you know, it's a subtropical climate, and the idea was to perform outside. And so I created with first sketches and with claim, we walls around the audience. And after this, we augment the functionalities. We proposed also facility buildings with a bar and rehearsal rooms, because the idea was also to teach young musicians in Brazil. So this was a sketch, and when I made a lot of sketches, and you can imagine, you live in a big country, but in Luxembourg is very small, and you know also the drawings from Niemeyer, and now I understood. At this time I understood how this guy made this with 2, 3 pencils. He brought his idea, because the landscape is so huge. So this was the result. The idea was to create outside audience, but it's raining sometimes, and you should move very fast. The instrument, you should protect it. It's very fast. So I said, let's do a whole as the audience, so we can produce maybe inside. So I said it with a glass of red wine, and everybody was happy to have this idea. But when I started to do the plan, I make the calculation because you need plus minus 10 cubic meters for one person. So if you have an audience from 1,000 plus the musicians, you know what you need to have good acoustics. But finally, we made it. So we made it for free. So the planning, I paid the planning. The lady paid the musicians, and the building was paid by the owner of Occitan, which was a friend. We drank so much red wine this evening, and so in the end. We started, it was done in 2 years, and this is now the bar area. And these bronze sculptures, they are there because the engineers, they put us as 2 columns through the open triangles, because they are very relaxed in Brazil. And so we found a sculpture, Maria Bonomi, which is a very famous sculpture in Brazil. It's a lady from 80 today, and she made a lot of sculptures for Oscar Niemeyer too. So for the facades, so we had here the question was how we can do this organic form. So we constructed the basement with and the audience with concrete, and we put the form in steel beams, and on the steel beams we put timber timber on it, and we put again steel, and we put shotcrete. Shotcrete, the Austrians used it when to consolidate the mountains or to make the tunnels. So we projected it on it, and so it was possible to do something organic as a sculpture. Of course, it's an open volume because it's subtropical and it's not possible to do windows and air conditioning because the place is nowhere. The place is in the middle of nowhere between Salvador and Rio de Janeiro. So you go there, and 40 days before the opening, we said it could be very nice to have water in front of this building. So I spent 3 months there to finish it all. And I said, oh, okay, let's take the bulldozers, and we are doing this, small lake. So this is, of course, possible if everybody agree, and if you have no problems with the authorities to have the authorization. So this is the audience, external audience, and you see the wall in the background. It is made to have the acoustics reflections and also to reduce the reverberations of the sound. So this inside I put some wooden elements behind the stage, and the angles of each timber, it's in a different inclination, so that the sound can go in different directions. So this is impression in the evening, and so I received this photo 2 weeks ago from Brazil. You can feel the feeling of this fantastic environment and fantastic country. Thank you very much.